Today we're taking a look at an old school Taylor and trying to answer the question of why Taylor discontinued the Dreadnought. Stick around. How's it going, y'all? This is Cooper Greenberg here at Alamo Music Center in San Antonio, Texas. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on, and if you're interested, click the link in the description below to become an insider over on Patreon, where you've got a bunch of cool stuff going on that you're missing out on if you're not there already. So like I said, right here I got an old school Taylor. Now that's relative because Taylor are still somewhat the new kids on the block when it comes to high-end great guitars in terms of big scale manufacturing. So this is a vintage Taylor, but this is from 2004. So this is a consignment that we got in the shop. If you didn't know, we do take consignments, and a lot of times they're really cool things, like this one, the 410. This is a Taylor Dreadnought from 2004. So in the state of Texas, you know what that means. It can drive last year. So this is a very interesting piece because Taylor discontinued the Dreadnought a couple years ago, and they still do have a Dreadnought in the series. Obviously, we're talking about American Taylors here, if I didn't make that abundantly clear, because I didn't. So the Dreadnought is still available in the 100 and 200 series, and from the Academy line, the A10. The Academy 10 is a square-shouldered Dreadnought like this one, same body shape, and the 110E, the 210E, they still have Dreadnoughts of the square shoulder variety available in the Mexican-made factory. But in the American factory, there is no more Dreadnought as of 2019. And it's kind of a bummer for some people because I've seen a lot of guys around town playing these guitars. A lot of cool players all around the world have maybe 810s or 410s like this, and they're really nice guitars. And so we're going to kind of take a look at this one that we got in, by the way, in almost perfect condition. I mean, it's very much like new. So the owner of this guitar took great care of it. You can find it on the website. It's a little spoiler alert for the end, but it is available on the website if you want to learn more about it or take a closer look. Sitka spruce top and Ovencall back and sides. And this, I believe, was changed in the late 90s. I think it was solid mahogany before the Ovencall. Now, in this era of the Dreadnought, it became solid Ovencall back and sides. Really nice looking tone wood, even like kind of in the right light. I'm seeing some figuring. It's a really nice piece. That's just kind of this wide open example of what Ovencall looks like and can look like. You can still find this on a lot of Taylor guitars because it is a nice tone wood that sits somewhere in the rosewood sort of, lexicon in that realm. It's sort of rosewoody, but it's just a nice tone wood that's been used for a long time. I think a lot of people don't associate it with kind of the big three of maple, rosewood, and mahogany, but it's not to be forgotten. It's a great tone wood. You'll hear how good it sounds, especially after its, I guess, what is that, 17-year stint in the case, because we were told by the owner that he bought it, played it a little bit, stuck it in a case, which is kind of ideal for a vintage guitar. So great condition, but the aging on it, it's cured, it's breathed, it's really nice. Maple neck. Now, everybody's familiar with Taylor tuners, Taylor branded tuners, because they're great. This was in the before time of Grovers on Taylors, which the Grovers are great, kind of Gibson style, Butterbean-esque Grovers. But yeah, it's just kind of a standard Taylor from the past. And when Andy Powers came on the scene and they started switching things up with their line and kind of making everything proprietary to Taylor, we kind of have the successor to this guitar with us, and kind of the reason why there is no longer a square shoulder Dreadnought in the American lineup. And that is because in 2019, Taylor and Andy Powers introduced the Grand Pacific shape. So there's a Grand Pacific, which the suffix of the model number would be 17 or 7, so there's the 317, 517, 717, and then some 27s in there. I think there's a 327. I mean, the 7 is the last number in the model number. That's how you know it's a Grand Pacific. You can also know because it's Dreadnought size with a slope or round shoulder. So this is Taylor's proprietary kind of body shape version interpretation of the round shoulder Dreadnought. Think about J45. That's kind of the shape that we're working with here, but you can tell just by looking at it that it's got the Taylor treatment. It looks like a Taylor, it doesn't look like it's trying to be anything else, which might have somewhat been the argument against the square shoulder Dreadnought being in the lineup. It's the one shape that truly isn't like a totally redesigned Taylor specific shape. So they introduced Grand Pacific. That's the short answer of why the Dreadnought is not available from the American factory anymore. Now, why I picked this guitar to kind of compare it to, this is an AD17, and I picked it because it's the same wood pairing. So with the 410, you had spruce and ovencall, and with the AD17, you have spruce and ovencall. Now, some of the big kind of differences here is this is a really natural open pore finish. The one before the 410 does have a satin finish, but it's kind of more what you expect from a satin finish from Taylor. This is specific to the American Dream line, and the GT Urban Ash have this kind of open pore finish, which I've talked about on the channel before that I like. It feels very open and airy and resonant, and I do dig that. And the one before the 410 did have white binding. This just has natural chamfered edges that are kind of bound in wood, chamfered wood, all that kind of nice satin finish, open pore type thing. And this one does have Taylor tuners. Now, if you're not, it doesn't have the Grovers like the 410 did, but this is Taylor. Taylor guitars come with Taylor tuners unless they're Gotos from the very high-end stuff. Now, the thing about the AD17 and the American Dream series in general is, we've done plenty of videos on them, but if you're not, if you're new to the channel, you haven't seen those. The American Dream line came out last year in the midst of the pandemic as kind of a tribute to Bob Taylor's first guitar shop that he kind of blossomed out of was called American Dream. I learned that from our rep JR, so that's a pretty cool little factoid. Learned that pretty recently, actually. But the American Dream is a nice way to make your foray into American-made Taylor guitars without totally breaking the bank, because they do get really steep in price. This one has V-class bracing as denoted by the graphite nut, and it's really as bare bones as an American Taylor gets, but I think that actually probably appeals to a certain kind of customer that is not interested in what they've become known for, which is their flagship 800, 900 series that are beautifully appointed, have a lot of different luxurious components. This is truly the no frills, American Taylor guitar. Currently, in terms of like standard production line, the American Dream is only available in the Grand Pacific body shape, so that's what kind of makes it cool. I also, prices subject to change with these guitars always, but right now at the price that we brought the 410 in on, they're not only the same wood, but they're the same price. So it's cool because the 410, it's a little bit older. I'm not positive what the price was when they first came out, but it's in terms of price range, wood and body shape. I think this is the fairest comparison between the two. Obviously, the old school Taylor has been aged and opened up, and the tone benefits from that. But take a listen, because I want you to try and pick out if there are any differences between a round shoulder Dreadnought and a square shoulder Dreadnought, and kind of what the finishes do to the, breathability of the wood, and just kind of maybe put headphones on if you can. They do sound similar, but also they do sound pretty different in a lot of key aspects. So take a listen. We'll wrap up with my thoughts at the end. Hope you dig it. So there it is. There's a little 410 for you and some AD17. Now the AD17 does come in a few different options. American Dream across the board does have a few other options. Maybe we'll see other body styles. I know that they did an exclusive with Guitar Center. There's a grand concert American Dream. That's pretty cool. We're not Guitar Center, so disregard that I just said that. The 410, it's hard not to kind of fall in love with this guitar right when you put hands on it. It's so well set up. I did put a new set of strings on this yesterday, and so the combination of a new set of elixirs on a guitar that's been broken in over 17 years, not necessarily by playing, but by time and aging of the wood. Again, the owner took great care of it, so it's kind of the perfect specimen to check out as something from like a 2004 Taylor era. This is a really nice example of that, and so if you couldn't tell already, I really like this guitar. And it's hard for me to compare it against a brand new AD17 because yes, the 400 series is a substantial step up in their line, even though this one now is priced at a certain point. If you were to buy, if they happen to make a 410 now, you kind of know that you're already going to be spending between $2,000 and $3,000 on that guitar. So this is a nice way to kind of get your hands on something that won't be around ever again. They're not going to do another Dreadnought, made in America, unless it's the round-shouldered Grand Pacific Dreadnought. So this is a cool relic of a certain kind of time for Taylor before they really dove into making their every single body style be proprietary. And obviously, every Dreadnought's a little different. You get what I'm saying. This is based on a certain type of body style that's been seen across every single guitar manufacturer ever. So it's cool to see Taylor's interpretation of that and get something that is of a higher grade wood pairing now at a certain price point because it's a special opportunity. So this guitar, the tone really sings to me. And yeah, new strings, all that, I already said that. But the 410 is a fantastic guitar. Now, if you are looking for something that is a Dreadnought from Taylor, Grand Pacific, I think, is really where it's at across the whole line all the way up. If you can get your hands on a 717 Builder's Edition, that's just such a cool guitar. And I mean, the finishes, the look of those guitars, it's sort of West Coast 70s inspired with the tone and everything. I mean, it's just a really, really nice vision. If you haven't heard Andy Powers talk about kind of his vision for those guitars, it's all based on records that he listened to when he was a kid, trying to capture that tone, and it's truly a successful rendering of that tone, which is really cool. American Dream, a nice, kind of perk that you can get there. You can get an AD27, which has a non-spruce top, which is a cool, version. I think it's a Sapele top. Don't quote me on that. It's mahogany or Sapele, something like that. Either way, it's a non-spruce option, and you can get pickups on those. You can get the black top option, which is just a slick-looking guitar, and they're all sort of still that no frills, really basic, nice, American-made. You don't want the Cindy inlay of the Chris McKee signature guitar 914 Limited. It's just a really nice way to jump into Taylor American without really breaking the bank. So both great guitars, but now, hopefully, after a lot of rambling, you know why they discontinued the Dreadnought. It's because in their eyes, and a lot of people's eyes, they made a better version of the Dreadnought, and it fits much better in Taylor's line than something that's sort of based on, an oft replicated body shape. The Grand Pacific has been very successful for them. A lot of people love it, myself included. I really like these guitars. So if you can, get your hands on them, get your hands on an American Dream, but if not, just a Grand Pacific in general. They sound really, really nice. And if you want, you can learn more about both of these. We have pretty much every American Dream that you can dream of in the store, so you can pick which wood pairing you like the best and which one sounds the best to you. But for a time until this guitar is bought by a very lucky person, this guitar is available on the website. So go to alamomusic.com, look up 2004 410 Taylor, not a 410 CE because it does not have cutaway, nor does it have electronics. But for a studio guitar, if you want a really nice broken-in Dreadnought that's not going to run you a crazy amount of money, and you want, say you're a Taylor collector and you need something from this period of time or this body shape, such a great example of that. It does have a hard case that comes with it, and it's a really nice Taylor hard case that's also been kept in great condition. So Awesome guitar, check it out on the website, but if it's gone, which I assume it will be pretty fast, check out the American Dreams and check out all the other Grand Pacifics that they offer in the line, because they're really, really nice guitars, and I like them. We all like them here at the store, and I'm sure you will as well. So again, visit alamomusic.com. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.